Welcome back to Puerto Rico Live. Today I'm going to do an interview. I'm really excited about this. So, if you're a longtime follower of the channel, you know that I've been trying to learn Spanish for a while. I haven't made a lot of progress at that until quite recently. And that is because I found myself the most amazing Spanish tutor in the entire world. I don't actually know if that's true, by the way, Zuli. I can't really say that because I obviously have only worked with one Spanish tutor in the entire world. Well, actually, I did Italki. Do you know Italki? Have you heard of that?
Italki. I heard of it, but I'm not sure
Yeah, it's
what it
like an
is.
online tutoring app where you can like hire people by the hour. I did that for like 2 hours, like a year and a half ago, so it wasn't consistent enough to make progress. But anyway, so welcome back to Puerto Rico Life. I'm Jeff Holst, and I have a special guest with me today. So, Zuli, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell people what you do.
Sure. Well, I'm Suli. I'm full-time Spanish instructor. I'm from Puerto Rico, originally born and raised. So my main focus is Spanish from Puerto Rico. So my accent is from Puerto Rico. The words that I use are from Puerto Rico. And yeah, we talk a lot about the culture as well. So my class it also focus on helping people like get used to Puerto Rico to make their move easier. So it's stress free as much as possible. And yeah, that's what I do. And yeah.
It's so great. So, I mean, we do this all online. Like, so I'm used to talking to you this way. Like, I mean, we haven't recorded anything before, but we do it mostly over Google Meet. Um, so we've actually never met in person. But you're on the west coast of Puerto Rico, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Yes, I'm in the West Coast. Yes.
Did you grow up on the west coast as well?
Yes. Actually, I was born in Ponce, Puerto Rico, in the south, but I lived most of my life since I was a child in San Germán and Cabo Rojo, in the southwest area of Puerto Rico. Yes.
I love that area actually. It's I've made some YouTube videos about Cabo Rojo and La Paguera. Did I say that right? La Paguera.
Yes, La
Yeah.
Barrera. Muy bien.
Yeah. See, I have to always ask her these things because my pronunciation has not been perfect, but we're making good progress. So. Here's a question for you. So, if someone is thinking about, maybe they're like me and they want to move to Puerto Rico or they live in Puerto Rico now, but they've only been there for a little while and they don't speak Spanish or they speak it very, only a little bit, un poco, Espanol. If they're in that situation and they really want to learn and they're like, hey, I want to put all the efforts in. What's the like timeline? Do you think somebody could realistically expect to learn a new language?
Okay, so about timeline is difficult. So it depends on the level that they already are at, right? So it depends if you're a complete beginner, or if you're intermediate, or if you're already pretty advanced. So it depends. So it could take months or years. Also depends how many days per week do you actually dedicate time to your learning. So it's a combination between the classes and also doing your practice it by yourself at home. So it depends. It's a combination. So it depends how many times do we see each other. But yeah, I do recommend, highly recommend, if you plan to move to any new country, doesn't matter if it's Puerto Rico or if it's Latin America in general or any place, to learn the language as soon as possible. At least try to learn the basics at the beginning. Because life will be way easier if you know what people are saying, right? Especially in places where, for example, here in Puerto Rico, we do have the influence of the states here, so a lot of people know English. I mean, especially in the metro area, but outside the metro area, a lot of people don't. So, but for example, there's countries where they really English is not really a language they speak that much. So anyway, so yeah, I would recommend you learning the language, even if it starts slow. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that depends, months or years. It depends on few factors.
Sure. So say someone has a little bit of language. Maybe they took a year of high school Spanish or something like that, um, and they want to try to learn as much as they can in 1 year. What's a realistic schedule for that person? Should they be having 3-4 days a week with you, plus do an hour a day, or like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I would say my recommendation of what I've seen is from 3 times, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, I would say the bare minimum will be 2 times if you're like super busy person, like you have to work and you're hands-on with your work. But if you can delegate or you have more time in your hands, I would say 3 to 4 times. 4 times will be the ideal, right? Because you're really immersing yourself, especially since it's 1 hour normally per day. So I would say 4 times. So that would be like 4 hours per week. That's really good if you're really like disciplined, or to say, or you don't even have to be disciplined. It's because it really helps you, because if you cannot do it by yourself, you're not disciplined enough to do it by yourself. You need someone to be there helping you. Especially I recommend like myself, right? Like getting a tutor 1-on-1, because they will help you live, help you right where you make the mistakes, and help you there, when you're holding your hand along the way. But yeah, 4 times is great, because you'll be practicing and practicing. The more you practice, I mean, it's like anything in life, the more you practice, the better you get at it, for sure.
Of course. Yeah, so like for me, I tried a lot of things, right? I did the Italki thing a little bit, like I said, and I have like a, I don't know, almost 700-day streak on Duolingo. So my vocabulary is okay, actually. Like I know, especially can recognize a lot of words. Like if I see the word, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that, right? Like I can do these little matching games that they have on Duolingo and stuff, and it definitely helped. But I don't really feel like I could hear the words very well, and I really definitely couldn't pronounce the words, right? Like my pronunciation was like not even close. And it wasn't that I didn't sound Puerto Rican, it's that I didn't sound like I was talking Spanish. It sounded like I was talking gibberish. So I feel like, having a person to go back and forth with, and like, when we're trying to work on some sound or some word, you're going to stop and say, no, let's say it a little bit slower, and you're going to say it again. And I think that's been really useful for me. So I don't want to spend the whole time just talking about Spanish, because this channel isn't about learning a language, right? So this channel is about Puerto Rico and how much I love Puerto Rico and the things that you can do in Puerto Rico. And it's not every day that I get someone on the channel that grew up in Puerto Rico, and definitely never have I had someone who grew up on the southwest side of the island. So what I would love to hear from you. And by the way, stick around to the end, and we'll give you Zuli's information on how that you can reach out to her as well, because we want to make sure that if you want to hire her or talk to her about hiring her, she can share that with her, because I really do think it's been fantastic. We were about 6 weeks now we've been working together, and my schedule it's challenging the last bit, so we haven't done as many as we want. We're trying for 3 days a week, but a lot of times it's only 1 or 2. But I'm committed, because the thing that's happened for me, at least, is it's created accountability. Because if I am supposed to meet you at 3 p.m. today, I'm going to meet you at 3 p.m. today, right? Like it's on my calendar, I'm going to do it. If I put on my calendar study Spanish at 3 p.m. and then something comes up, I just don't do it. I do something else, right? But nothing comes up if I have to meet someone, because it'd be rude for me not to show up. Plus, I'd probably have to pay anyway, and that seems terrible. I hate to pay for things I don't get advantage of, right? So anyway, so let's talk about what are your favorite things to do in Puerto Rico, in the west coast of Puerto Rico, maybe in Ponce. Like I did a video before, and I think I can put it somewhere up there. I did a video about just kind of walking around the main square in Ponce, and like I went to the Fox Hotel, which I think is a beautiful hotel. So if people haven't seen that, they should check that out. But I really love Ponce. That's actually where we're I've made other videos with my friend Todd, who the two of us are working on building a shipyard to build catamarans, and I can put that up there also somewhere. And but we're going to do that in the port in Ponce. So I mean, Ponce is a great place. So let's start there. What do you love about Ponce? What don't you like about it? What stuff would you recommend people do if they're visiting?
Okay. Yes, Ponce is a really historical town. I do like the Parque de Bombas. I don't know if you've been to the Parque de Bombas.
Yeah, the fire truck place, right? Like the firehouse.
Yeah, and that is exactly, yeah, that same plaza where the Fox Hotel is, right? That area is pretty nice, yes. Eh, but yeah, I love that you asked me about my favorite parts of Puerto Rico because I'm gonna tell you, especially the Southwest or just the West Coast in general, but the Southwest is my favorite area in Puerto Rico, and I feel like a lot of people don't know, especially a lot of tourists. They don't know that the West Coast has so many things to do and beautiful things, and the best beaches in Puerto Rico, ¿verdad? Right? Other than Culebra, right? Culebra is a smaller island here in Puerto Rico. But other than that beach, which is for me the best beach, but in the main island in Puerto Rico has a Cabo Rojo. The town of Cabo Rojo has a few beaches that are amazing, like Playa Sucia and
Wait. Is that Dirty
Boquerón.
Beach? Dirty
Huh?
Beach is what you just said?
Yes, I know. It literally translates to dirty beach. It does have a history behind it, but really it's not dirty at all. So it's very the water is very light, very clear. I need to say, very clear water, like beautiful blue, and also the lighthouse in Cabo Rojo in the same beach is a lighthouse where it's a cliff. It's an amazing views of the water.
I've been
So
to the
Cabo,
lighthouse actually. They have really high cliffs, right? Like just sheer drop offs, and you can walk around up on top of them, and then the beach is down below.
correct. There's an area that you climb, and then when you get there, you see those cliffs which are very high and stuff like that. But yeah, and you can see the view. Have you been over there?
Yeah. I might have even done a video there a couple years ago. Actually, I don't remember for sure, but if I did, I'll put it up there. But
Okay, very good. Yes, I totally recommend to do that before leaving Puerto Rico. And Aguadilla, the beaches in Aguadilla are amazing too, and Rincon as well, especially for surfers and stuff like that. So Rincon, Aguadilla, and Cabo Rojo are my all-time favorites in Puerto Rico, especially for the beach and also for the restaurant. If you really want fresh fish or fresh seafood, and those are the places to go, the towns over there, to get that. I would recommend get out of the metro area. Metro area is really good to do stuff, right? Very historical stuff or views,
Sure.
museums, things to do. But if you want a more experience with natural and the beach area, I would recommend. And also, I need to point out my town that not a lot of people talk about, but I highly recommend. It's called San Germán. San Germán, and it's a small town that you can cover in half a day. But there's some museums there. One of them is called Portacelli. It's called like the door to the sky. It's like an Italian word. So it's Portacelli. So it's a religious museum, but it's a very old from when Spain colonized Puerto Rico. So it has a lot of Spanish history, architecture, and also there's a few museums around as well. The houses are very historical, like I said, the architecture very Spanish-like from those times. So yeah, I do highly recommend going to San Germán, and the restaurants are really good too. So yeah.
Okay, so San German is on the southwest coast. Is it?
Yes.
Is south of Mayagüez?
Yes, it's right next to Cabo Rojo. So we have
Oh,
Mayagüez,
okay.
then Cabo Rojo, Hormigueros, and then we have San Germán right there. Yes, see.
Yeah, I don't believe I've ever been there, so I will have to come check that out and then check out the museum, and maybe you can give me a restaurant recommendation while I'm there, and
Yes.
we can figure that out. That sounds very nice. So, all right, so your favorite parts of Puerto Rico are where you live and where you grew up. So that's great. You get to live where you love. What about you've traveled obviously other places on the island, and you said you went to Culebra, and that's a place I haven't been yet. I've been to Vieques, but never to Culebra. What can you tell us about Culebra?
Yes. So Culebra, the best one that I've seen and I heard a lot of people say is Flamenco. Amazing beach. Again, the water is super clear. The sand is more of a lighter color, so it's super nice. I believe that's the best beach ever in Puerto Rico. And nowadays I heard the restaurants. There's a few new restaurants that are really good. And for Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, but especially the beach.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it, right? It's nothing
Yeah,
compared to the beach in
so
Culebra.
if you're just looking for the best beach, and that one's consistently rated in the top 5 in the world, so I'm sure it's the best in Puerto Rico. Um, it's from the photos I've seen, it reminds me a lot of, like, say, the U.S. Virgin Islands. You know, it has that kind of picturesque postcard kind of beach feel to it. Um, there are great beaches all over Puerto Rico, of course. I mean, as you mentioned, the ones in Aguadilla are really nice, like Crash Boat, or the ones in Rincon, like Domes Beach or Stella Beach. Those are actually very nice beaches as well. Um, but you do point out that the food is at least with the seafood side is much better on the West Coast, and I think that's
Yes.
certainly true. Even the fancy restaurants in the metro area, the expensive places, don't have the same quality of fresh food, like the ceviche, or or even just if you want like a snapper or something like that. Like the on the West Coast, it does seem to be a lot better.
Yes, for sure. You can taste how fresh it is in the west side compared to other places. Even places that are more expensive or the luxury side. I will recommend to go to more of a local place in the West Coast, in Cabo Rojo. Go to the actual coast to try those fish, the fish, right? Is they get it from the coast right there. Okay, so I don't recommend ordering, like you were mentioning, ceviche or dorado or certain
Yeah.
fish. So I do recommend asking them though, like what is the fresh catch of the day, especially.
Yeah, of course.
You obviously will not order like a salmon. Salmon is not here, right? So it depends on what fish are in the coast. Like some places, for example, in the north side. So I know fishermen that will fish the marlins. Marlins is fresh too, for example. Those are, they sometimes they will sell the like marlin bites and stuff like that. So it depends on what is the catch of the day. So I recommend asking. Or some places there's everything is fresh. So also depends. But normally on the West Coast you will have that.
Well, so this is actually one of the reasons why it's important to learn Spanish, right? Because if I walk into a restaurant on the West Coast and it's a local place, I'm pretty sure they don't speak very much English. They may have a little bit of English, but unless it's a tourist place, like in Rincon, I think maybe you can get away with English pretty easily in most places. But outside of Rincon, it's hard to get. I mean, it just is. Like most people don't speak English, and of course, when you get to the interior of the island, it's even less than that. So this is where, if you are planning on living in Puerto Rico or even just visiting Puerto Rico, it can help to learn, even if it's a little bit of Spanish, right? Because the people will try to speak to you in English if they have some English and you have some Spanish, and you can kind of figure it out by pointing and stuff like that. And there are other things you can do. If they have a written menu, you can use like a Google Translate or something. So there are some options, of course, but nothing substitutes for being able to actually communicate with people.
Right, and part of my class too is giving my students options like everyday use that you will use in restaurants. One of my class will be dedicated to ordering in a restaurant and the way we will order it here in Puerto Rico, or just general ways of ordering any part of the world in Spanish. But like I said, I give you the version to use here so that anybody here can understand you, right? Because if you use too fancy words or words from Google, they might not be the one that you should be using here for people to understand you. So I do speak like that for a topic like that, but also like if you have a certain topic that you want to talk about, like let's say you're gonna go in a weekend, go to do a certain activity, and you want to know how to have a conversation, I can help you achieve that as well. And yeah, I also forgot, if you're into like sports, I know it's a different topic, but also like if you are in sports, I can help you with that. For example, in Culebra, I also forgot to point that, and they do snorkeling and in Culebra, or different water sports. I'm also doing a class on that for people that are interested to be able to communicate on the water, or instructors. So that's another activity that people might like to do in Puerto Rico. I didn't mention it because I'm not very into water water sport, but I know a lot of people that do around me. So that's other things that you can find in Puerto Rico as well, in the coast, in the west coast or any coast, and also in Culebra especially.
Yeah, yeah. So I love snorkeling and scuba diving. Those are some of my favorite things. And
Yes.
in fact, one of my reasons for going to the West Coast is the diving is much, much better on the West Coast because the reefs are there, especially the Southwest. I really like La Peguera for diving actually because you can go out to the reef and it's not very far out there. They take you out on a boat and they have super clear water. At least most of the year, it's super clear, and then. And you have the bioluminescent bay there, which is amazing. It's the only one in the world that you can swim in, so that's kind of nice. There are 3 of them in Puerto Rico, but the one in La Peguera you can actually swim in. The other 2 you cannot because they're enclosed bays and it would be destructive to the microorganisms. But it's really interesting. Have you done the bioluminescent swimming or not?
No, so far I haven't, but it's in my bucket list for sure, especially since we have one closer to me, like you were mentioning. And I know a lot of people that go to the other one, to the one, I think is it in Condado or Fajardo, that the other
Yeah, Fajardo, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one in Vieques, and then there's one by Fajardo.
Okay.
The one in Mosquito Bay, which is the one that's on Vieques, is supposed to be the brightest in the world, though. So that's supposed to be the one that's the coolest to see. But the problem is, if you have any extra light, so if the moon's out bright or something like that, then you can't really see it because you're not in the water like you are, down in La Peguera. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So see, a lot of people go to those two because they're closer to San Juan. But like I said, there's so many things on the west side that people, they don't even know they're there. But now, now they know because they watch this channel. If you keep
That's right.
showing people more of the west side or some stuff like that, so they'll know other things.
Yeah, so maybe you're gonna have to be a tour guide in addition to a Spanish teacher at some point because
Sure.
you seem to
I'd love
really
to.
like the West Side, which is great because I actually like, if people who follow the channel know I like all of Puerto Rico. I find the culture fascinating. I mean, it's a complicated culture. We could get into that for a minute if you want, but you alluded to the Spanish colonial influence, which is of course both positive and negative. There's a lot associated with that.
Right.
And then, of course, you have following that with American, U.S. influences. And then, of course, you have native influences, too. And then you mix into that the influence of the slave traders and the slave influences. So depending on where you are on the island, everything's a little bit different. If you're in the mountains, you have almost like a Wild West cowboy culture that doesn't exist really anywhere else in the world anymore. Maybe in some parts of Argentina, but very few places in the world do they have that kind of culture. And it definitely still exists in Puerto Rico. So it's just a fascinating place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do have a very diverse culture, like you were mentioning, with the Spain, with this, all those, like, we're very historical and our culture is very rich. And, that also affects our language, the way we talk. Some people say we talk really fast or our accent, and I get it, it's true. But that's because of our culture or a mixture of different, places. And also we have a Spanglish, right? We do have, there's certain words that we do say it in English, or we get it from the English language as well. And also our food is very cultural. We have food that is very similar from the other islands in the Caribbean as well. We have a lot of plantain. The Dominican Republic does have plantain as well in different dishes and stuff like that. We have that in Spanish influence and or from our natives as well in the Caribbean. And the food in general is very delicious as well. We have a lot of fritters that we have spoken about those. Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta ask this: if someone's coming to Puerto Rico for the first time, and maybe they're only coming for like a week, right? They have a week. That's a good amount of time. It's not a lot, but it gives them a chance to get out of the metro area. Because I'm a big proponent of, if you're coming to Puerto Rico for a long weekend, you probably ought to just not even get a car, just stay in the metro area because there's so much to do and you're only going to be there 3 days. You're not going to see even all of Viejo San Juan in 3 days. So like, I think you just stay there. But if you have a week, I think you get a car, you go to some place like El Yunque or maybe Fajardo or over to the West Coast or all three of those. Because I do think like Aguadilla is amazing. I really like Aguada also. Rincon is really nice. Cabo Rojo is really nice. And apparently I missed out on your hometown there, so we got to check that out. But if somebody's coming for 1 week, what is the number one food they should try? Like mofongo. So that's a mashed up plantain dish. It's kind of savory. It's delicious.
Yeah, I mean, if you like plantain, right? Some people don't, but I feel like the majority of people do like it. You know, the feedback that I receive is like 90%, like 99, sorry, like 99% of people really enjoyed it. And,
but you try it anyway. If you've never had it, you should. And it's not, that's not in the, I've never seen it anywhere else in the world, right? Maybe a Puerto Rican restaurant in the U.S. or something, but you can't get it in the Dominican Republic or I mean, it's a very Puerto Rican dish. And, of course, mofongo is one thing, but like, okay, let's say we get mofongo. Like, do you have a particular favorite? Do you just get it as a side? Do you get like it with chicken or steak or something? Like, how do you prepare
we'll
it?
normally have it as a main dish with either seafood, seafood, especially if you're in the West Coast, if you have fresh seafood, I will go with that. And if you like, right, if you're not,
I like it with garlic shrimp a lot, right? Like, I think the garlic shrimp is a really good option.
Oh my gosh, yes, with garlic shrimp, or they have another sauce that's called criolla sauce. That is like a reddish red sauce that they use. They like to use it for the shrimp as well. They
that one's
two
great
options.
too. Yeah.
So both of them really good for shrimp, or also if you like meat. Like a good cut of meat, or churrasco, like a cut of churrasco.
Churrasco is nice too, yeah.
So it depends if you're more a meat person or a seafood person. So it depends on your taste, but both of them, they will work for sure.
Yeah. So if I were describing mofongo to someone who's never seen it, it's like somebody took plantains and made mashed potatoes, right? Like it's but it's maybe a little bit firmer than what a mashed potato would be, but it's that. They just mash them together, mix in some seasonings, and then if they use meat and sauce on top of that, sometimes it's served as a side. Sometimes it's served as a main course.
Right, but they here in Puerto Rico, it's important to point out that they fry it. So the texture is a little bit, it's not soft like a mashed potato.
That's true.
In
the
Dominican Republic, they do have mango, which is act like it really looks like a mashed potato. It's very soft. But here in Puerto Rico, it stays like the texture is more. It's not solid, but it's
definitely
thicker,
more
right?
firm, right?
Firmer.
Yeah, it's chewy almost. But not quite chewy either. It's just it's got a firmness to it for sure.
So see, people need to try it for themselves. Hopefully they get curious about that and they like to try it. Oh, and it's important to point out that it has garlic in it as well. So you feel the flavor of the garlic.
Yeah.
And but it's really, that's what they made it with. And and they put their favorite meat on top. But yeah, some people order it as a side, but I prefer like as a main dish with the, and you can ask for the sauce that they will put on top. Because even cheese, like some sort of like creamier cheese on top. So it depends on the options that they have.
So to me, I think the food that everyone who goes to Puerto Rico should try is queso frito.
Oh.
I think queso frito in Puerto Rico it's not like any other fried cheese anywhere else in the world. I don't even understand what kind of cheese it is. I've asked. Maybe you know the answer. I ask people and they say it's frying cheese. Like it's frito queso. I'm like, oh, okay, like so it's like I don't understand. I'm like, what kind of cheese am I buying if I want to make this at home? But if done correctly, it's so good. That's not always good. Sometimes you go a place and it's okay. But sometimes it is so good.
See, I know. That's true. I really like queso frito as well. They will serve it with normally with a side of guava sauce.
Yeah.
Have you tried it, right? That you dip it. So it has the sweet of the guava and the salty of the cheese. Yes. I really
nice.
like that. That's true. I never tried it anywhere else just in Puerto Rico. That's right. That's nice.
I mean, and we eat fried cheese other places, but it's usually like mozzarella sticks, right? They're breaded, and you dip them in a marinara sauce, which it's fine, but it's not the same as queso frito, which is just it's a very Puerto Rican dish. I think people in Puerto Rico don't realize how unique it is because it's everywhere. I think almost every restaurant in all of Puerto Rico, you probably could get it at Taco Bell if you ask nicely. You know, it's crazy how it's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, but correct. It's a lot of restaurants have it, especially if it's a Puerto Rican restaurant, they will have it.
Yeah. Of course. Well, listen, I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate you coming on. So before we wrap up, we promised everyone that we would share how they can get a hold of you. So what's the best way to reach out to you if someone wants to talk to you about possibly hiring you? If you want, you can share what you charge and stuff like that. That's up to you.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So I'm gonna give you my link so you can put it down there in the channel
we'll
for
do
the
that
link
for
to
sure.
to my website, right?
Yeah.
But my email will be learningwithmiranda, okay? And it's spelled learning, 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 and then with, and then Miranda, which is spelled MIRANDA. Like my last name.
With is spelled out, WITH. So it's all
What was
one
that,
word.
sorry?
The with is spelled out also.
Oh yes, the with. I did not. So
Learning with
WITH,
Miranda.
like with, like learning
Yes.
with me, learning with Miranda at gmail.com.
Cool, and I'll put that down in the comments too. So you send me your link for the website. We'll put that down there as well. But yeah, I mean, I would highly encourage people to reach out to Zuli because she's been really, really good, and she, and you always show up on time, and you always are prepared, and you have a plan, and you're so patient. Like, I would have a hard time teaching me anything. I'm kind of a blockhead sometimes, so thank you for being that patient. And of course, I do want to give you one last chance. So we picked our favorite places in Puerto Rico. We picked our favorite food to try in Puerto Rico. So that person that's coming for 1 week, if they can't go to the West Coast, right? Like they're just not allowed for some reason, where do you think they should go?
Outside the West Coast, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so San Juan will be, the closest. And if you arrive to the airport of San Juan, right, the capital. So we'll say the Morro. The Morro is very historical,
very
right?
nice.
The Morro, the Viejo San Juan, again, the buildings, the museums. And El Old San Juan, Viejo San Juan will be, a must-do for sure. And let me see. Yeah, San Juan is a couple of things that you can do. Restaurants in San Juan are good too. But yeah, mostly Old San Juan, Paseo La Princesa.
Oh yeah, beautiful walk on the outside of the wall. And Old San Juan, Viejo San Juan is a 500-year-old fortified city. So that walk on the outside of the wall is really, really fantastic, especially in the evening time. I really recommend that. It's a bit hot during the day because the sun cooks you if you come at the wrong time of the day. But because it just bounces off that huge black wall, and it's just like heat coming at you from every direction. But in the early evening, it is one of the most beautiful walks. In fact, it's a great place to take a date. So if you're going on a date, this is what I would do. I would go to Viejo San Juan, find a nice restaurant, and after dinner, I would walk out along La Princesa.
Yes, I was about to say that it's very romantic. It's a very romantic place to walk around there for sure. I do agree with that. Also, I want to point out, now that you're saying it's a really old town, San Germán is the second oldest town in Puerto Rico.
Interesting.
So after San Juan, if you're really into history, I would recommend coming again to San Germán for like a smaller San Juan area, very, very similar.
Well, you've convinced me. I'm gonna make a trip out there. My answer to that question, by the way, if you can't go to the West Coast and you can only go one place, I agree with you, Viejo San Juan. But if we assume that they flew to San Juan, so they're probably gonna go there, I would say El Yunque. I think everyone should go to El Yunque.
Yes, for sure. Oh my God, yes, I forgot. El Yunque. Yeah, that's a must-do for sure.
Yeah, I love the rainforest.
amazing.
It's one of my... I've made videos about that, so people can check those out on the channel too. But I love the rainforest so much. It's very peaceful and relaxing and very safe too. unlike most rainforests in the world, there's nothing that's going to kill you. So like you don't have to worry about getting attacked by jaguars or something. So you can just go out there and you can hike in the water. I mean, you got to be careful with the water because if it's a flash flood or something, but as long as you're paying attention to the weather, you should be really safe out in the
Right, it's important that you point that out. The weather, it's really important to check that out.
Yeah, of course.
The Yunque has many rivers, or it's very natural area, so you have to check beforehand to see the weather forecast to be sure to stay safe. But yeah, you check and everything is good, then I'll definitely recommend going there. If you're someone that really enjoys nature and hiking, that's the way to go. So you see that rainforest here in Puerto Rico for sure. And the waterfalls that it has, the trees, the animals, it's a very tropical place to go for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, well, Zuli, thank you so much for being here today. I will let you know when this comes out so that you can watch it for yourself or share it with your friends. But for now, I hope everyone has an amazing day. And if you haven't been to Puerto Rico, I would recommend you go like tomorrow because it's one of my favorite places in the entire world. And you might even run into somebody cool like Zuli while you're there. And if not, even if you're traveling somewhere outside of Puerto Rico and you want to learn Spanish, I would definitely recommend emailing Zuli at learningwithmiranda@gmail.com.
Correct. Thank you so much, Jeff, for giving me this opportunity also to share a little bit of my country, Puerto Rico, and especially the West Coast. I feel like a lot of people don't know. So to give me this opportunity and the people from, for any part of the world to know about that is great. So people can know. And so people now know about my email and my website. So you're going to put the link down below so they can schedule their classes on the website. On the Calendly app, it's right inside the website, so they can schedule their own class, or email me that you're interested, and I do an intro session where they can, get to know more about how the class is and see if it's a good choice. I know they would not, be disappointed. And if they have any other questions regarding either Spanish classes or Puerto Rico, I'm happy to help. Okay, so thank you again, Jeff, and I'm looking forward to watching
you're
this.
so welcome, and you've convinced me I need to go to San Juan and make a video there, maybe walking around the center of the town and go to a museum or so. Maybe I'll even run into you while I'm there. That would be pretty amazing. So thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay.